Roy DeMeo's bullet-riddled body lay slumped in the trunk of his own maroon Cadillac on a freezing January day. DARKWIRE, real stories from The Wire. January 10th, 1983. The butcher-turned-mobster was finally silenced. But would anyone ever uncover the hundreds of bodies he left behind? The estimated 200 victims of the DeMeo crew's brutal reign? The story of Roy DeMeo begins long before his infamous end. Born in Brooklyn in 1940, DeMeo grew up in a tight-knit Italian-American family, residing in the Bensonhurst neighborhood. His father, a sanitation worker, instilled a strong work ethic in his children. But young Roy wanted more than an honest living, drawn to the easy money and power of the Brooklyn underworld. By his teenage years, DeMeo found himself drawn into the Brooklyn underworld, running errands for local racketeers, including the infamous Gambino crime family. The money was easy, the power intoxicating. Roy DeMeo was on a path that would lead him far from the life his parents envisioned, a life that would eventually earn him the nickname the Butcher of Brooklyn. By the late 1970s, DeMeo had carved out a fearsome reputation within the Gambino crime family, leading a crew notorious for their brutality. Their headquarters? The unassuming Gemini Lounge in Brooklyn, a nondescript bar on Flatbush Avenue that served as a front for their illicit activities. The DeMeo crew wasn't just feared for their body count, estimated to reach as high as 200, but for their chilling method of disposal. They perfected a technique known as the Gemini Method. Victims were lured to the back room, killed swiftly, then dismembered with precision, using butcher's knives and other tools of the trade. Once the grisly work was done, the remains were distributed across Brooklyn in plastic bags, ensuring no body would ever be identified. It was a method that left no trace, making DeMeo's crew one of the most feared factions in New York, their notoriety spreading like a cancer through the city's underworld. At the height of their power, the DeMeo crew seemed untouchable. They operated with ruthless efficiency, instilling fear even among their fellow mobsters. DeMeo's empire was a well-oiled machine of intimidation and terror, with tentacles reaching deep into the city's underworld. But invincibility breeds carelessness. DeMeo's downfall began from within. His crew started to fracture under the pressure of law enforcement investigations, led by the FBI's Brooklyn field office. Fearful of DeMeo potentially turning informant to save himself, his own men began to plot his end. What DeMeo didn't know was that betrayal lurked closer than he ever imagined. On January 10, 1983, his reign came to a violent end. His crew, those once loyal, decided he was too great a liability. They turned on him, leading to his execution, a brutal ending to a life of violence. The FBI, long hunting the DeMeo crew, were too late to save him or bring him to justice. His body, discovered in the trunk of his Cadillac, was a testament to the brutal world he thrived in. DeMeo had become just another casualty of his own bloody business, a grim reminder of the consequences of a life of violence. But here's where it gets worse. The arrest scene of his crew was a spectacle of its own. On a cloudy morning in February 1983, agents from the FBI's Brooklyn field office, led by Agent Jim Kostler, launched a massive operation. Wiretaps had indicated that several members planned to flee. The operation, codenamed Gemini Silence, was set into motion with precision timing, involving over 50 agents and officers. As dawn broke, FBI agents and NYPD officers descended on the Gemini Lounge and other hideouts across Brooklyn. They moved swiftly, battering rams crashing against doors, agents shouting commands. Within minutes, key members of the crew were in custody, their reign of terror abruptly halted, the sound of handcuffs clicking shut echoing through the streets. The aftermath of the arrests led to an intense trial that captured the nation's attention. Held at the Brooklyn Federal Courthouse, the proceedings revealed the dark depths of the DeMeo crew's operations. Testimonies from former members turned state's evidence painted a chilling picture. One such testimony came from Dominic Montiglio, a former associate who recounted the meticulous planning behind each murder, the details of which sent shivers down the spines of the jurors. Montiglio described the Gemini Method in detail. We'd lure them in, offer a drink, and then bam, a bullet to the head. Quick, clean, efficient. After that, we'd cut them up and spread the pieces all over Brooklyn. No one's gonna find a complete body. The courtroom fell silent. the only sound the soft hum of the air conditioning. Evidence presented included grisly photographs, financial records showing payments to key crew members, and surveillance footage that placed DeMeo at the scene of several crimes. The prosecution, led by Assistant U.S. Attorney John Gleason, built a compelling case that left little room for doubt, the evidence mounting against the defendants like a mountain of bricks. In the end, numerous crew members received life sentences. The judge, in a stern voice, condemned their actions as a reign of terror that has no place in civilized society. Roy DeMeo, though already dead, was posthumously implicated in the conviction of his crew, his legacy one of blood and terror. Yet the trial left many questions unanswered. The whereabouts of countless bodies remain a mystery, a haunting legacy of the Gemini Method. The eerie silence of those untold stories echoes through the streets of Brooklyn even today, a reminder of the darkness that lurks in the city's underworld. And so, the butcher's legacy lives on, a chilling chapter in the annals of organized crime. The Gemini Method, a tale of horror wrapped in plastic, sealed with fear. The story of Roy DeMeo serves as a reminder of the brutal consequences of a life of violence, a life that ultimately led to his own downfall. In the years that followed, the Gemini Lounge was sold and renovated, the new owners attempting to erase the dark history that had unfolded within its walls. But the legacy of Roy DeMeo and his crew continues to haunt the streets of Brooklyn, a reminder of the horrors that can unfold when violence and intimidation are allowed to reign. The story of Roy DeMeo and the Gemini Method serves as a warning, a reminder of the dangers of organized crime and the devastating consequences of a life of violence. It is a tale that will continue to haunt the streets of Brooklyn, a reminder of the darkness that lurks in the shadows of the city's underworld.